A quick note on espionage news. As of this writing on October 20th, 2022, the German Minister for Cybersecurity has resigned. He is being investigated due to his connection with the FSB, the Russian CIA. I imagine this will begin happening more and more as the conflict escalates. I also imagine that instead of resigning, many will start to die in mysterious circumstances. Many will also find themselves running to the arms of the Russians. Perhaps 2 days later, the number of foreign nationals in Norway arrested on spying charges rose to 7 in a week. All of those individuals arrested were Russian. One of them is the son of a close confidant of Putin. On October 24, 2022, 12 Chinese foreign nationals were accused of espionage in the United States. There was an FBI press conference on the matter. There are allegations across the globe of Chinese police stations that dispatch agents to work on the CCP's behalf. I haven't spoken much about Chinese espionage in this book, for now I have been reluctant to. I'm writing this as events unfold. I will lay an accusation when there is indisputable proof that China is an aggressor in this propaganda war that we're fighting. Until then I will remain reserved. Race. Race is a funny term. It is said that there is the human race, then supposedly there is multiple sub-races that we all fall into. That's a very confusing concept. In Europe, supposedly there is a race for every country. Instead of black and white or Asian. There is the French race, the English race, the Irish race, etc. To me, race is a fungible thing, so I'll express my own view quickly before I properly begin this segment. I believe that there is only the human race. To say there is a race for every skin color or ethnicity is just a way to sow division. Anyhow, let's talk about the following phrases. Black lives matter, white lives matter, all lives matter, every life matters. I will not mention blue lives matter. 2 of the phrases of the list I just presented are acceptable. Why is that? What's the difference between all lives matter and every life matters? Why is it, if I say all lives matter on social media, I will be marked a white supremacist, and if I say every life matters, no one will bat an eye? Of course you know where I'm going with this. This chapter is called Putin Created the Culture War. This is the notorious alternative fact Alexander Dugin created. Why is it, when a kind young soul chanting Black Lives Matter, gets hot and bothered when another kind young soul chants, in refutation, that all lives matter? The argument is that, when Black Lives Matter, only then, will all lives matter. I'm not going to get into the preposterous accusation that's laying out. I think Douglas Murray and John McWhorter have done a good job on that already. I'm going to explain the real reason it exists. It suggests that the wider public doesn't care a whit for the black diaspora. We are telling the black youth that society has it out for them. It's being stamped into their mind not just on social media but news media. They are being told that their life is in danger always and very little people care. How terrible is that? You know what? It's absolutely not true. Social media posts and news media love to jump on the bandwagon reporting a white cop killing a black citizen. Where are the reports of black on black crime that happen as a daily certainty? Tens of thousands of black deaths aren't done by white police hands. Much of it is done by black youths and gangs. Where's the reporting on that? Where is the call to have much more community support in these neighborhoods? Instead we get defund the police. Instead we get, ban all firearms. We get very clever t-shirts and cleverly timed roadside sales of these shirts. Criminals don't buy guns legally. They're either made in domestic gun manufacturers, and sold, before hitting a shelf, or stolen. Where are these gangs getting their guns? I just told you. Are we calling to ban guns from the gangs, or just the racist cops or law-abiding citizens? Let's look at this alternative fact. It was said that defund the police didn't mean funding was leaving police departments across the continent. It meant money was being allocated to different things such as community support, whatever that means. That was the garbage said on news media. Thank God we walked back on that. We only did so, however, when crime ramped up due to lack of police presence. Anyhow, the reason for it is to sow division between black and white. To create artificial racism. I do have a certain disdain for BLM activists who presume outrageous things. It doesn't mean I hate them because they're black. However, it looks like it and it could be framed as such. That's the point. Also, innocent black people who fall for the rhetoric find themselves terrified of white people. How do they know this white person walking toward them isn't a crazy KKK individual who thinks all lives should matter? These people don't have to be fundamentally racist, but in these situations they're using race as a base for their fear, which is being perpetuated by Russian propaganda bots on the internet, and agents in the news media. The woke did a very good job getting into the mainstream. Yes, the woke is a Russian propaganda plot, and it fucking worked. Are you scared yet? The woke ideology, and its leaders follow the pattern of Dugin's alternative facts. Defund the police doesn't mean defund. Until Black Lives Matter, all lives can't matter. All lives matter is white supremacist. Every life matters means how it sounds. Let's dissect. Until Black Lives Matter, all lives can't matter. It's an obvious sentiment. How is it possible for all lives to matter if you don't think Black Lives Matter? That's how a certain segment of the population understands it. Another segment of the population see it differently. They see it as, until Black Lives Matter, your life doesn't matter. Not just because they fall to the belief intentionally. It's because on social media and news media, it's being shown to them in that light. This is all Russian propaganda. Russian propaganda is using agents, espionage artists, to infiltrate the minds of the conservative and liberal circles. Each side is being told different things. They're being shown how the other side is the enemy. I'm going to be clearer. The woke and MAGA leaders are on the same side. They are performing theater. The stage is the Western world, the audience is in Russia, and Russian sympathizers. I would like you to perform a little experiment. Say to yourself the following: I am not seeing the connection here. If you were a Western news pundit or even on social media speaking, snippets similar to that phrase will be cut down to size to say, I am not see, Nazi, then it is shown in Russian media. If you listen around you'll hear it's such a common way of saying, I don't quite understand everything. You will find you can get just about everyone in the Western world to seem to admit they're a Nazi. Especially, heads of state and celebrities. Less notably but still important are the local influencers. What's more, is celebrities to regular old social media users are actively and openly condemning people solely by the color of their skin for such menial issues. Even if it's an unimportant issue, it is never okay to make a joke or a reference at the expense of a person's skin color, especially if they're particularly sensitive to it. People are going around saying these horrible things as if we are in a warped reality where segregation never ended. Russian propaganda, woke and MAGA, have weaved this web very nicely. Again, this might sound like a stretch. However, tied with the Russian propaganda here at home, both the woke and MAGA look like Nazis. The woke are obsessed with racially profiling everyone and actively suppressing scholarly opportunities. There's a hearing at the time of this writing discussing whether it's right to factor in race when it comes to school acceptance. How was that allowed to happen? Martin Luther King Jr. would be rolling in his grave. I'm glad there is pushback. I'm not suggesting that I'm the only person who has thought of this. I'm sure there are many people who have. However, the espionage artists have anticipated this and fight it by condemning those who question the smallest inconsistency, cancel culture. Anyhow, the woke and MAGA do not want to win the culture war. They want to fight it. Also, both ideologies are a mixed bag of bad and good ideas. So, the sound majority cannot really side with one or the other completely, because there are also absolutely horrible ideas in both. That's why we're divided. Before I completely finish, I'd just like to say that I'm not suggesting, sorry, I wouldn't want to suggest, that only racism against blacks exist. I'm not suggesting that other forms of racism and to whom it applies is lesser. This is just one example of countless types, I'm sure. However, this form is particularly one I personally care deeply about. I spend a lot of time researching and thinking about. Perhaps in the future I will write a complete series solely on racism, but I'm sure there are many authors who may have already done a better job than I. John McWhorter is my particular favorite. Next time I'll be talking about gender relations and its effects on procreation.